Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, I'm glad you were able to make it on kind of short notice. I've got the Dragon 2 in front of me, and man, I'll tell you what, this is a serious airplane, man. I took it apart, and I'm going to cover the parts in just a minute, but I wanted to give you guys a look at the manual first, and I think they did a pretty good job with the manual. Normally I start with the fuselage, but I'm going to save that for later. I really want to get that fuselage covered in just a little while. For now, I want to take a look at the manual first and just give you guys a quick look at this. They did okay. It's a color manual. It's clear, so the pictures are clear, and that's beneficial. You can see this is a straight up FPV plane. This is definitely an FPV bird. It's designed for a GPS compass right there. It's a twin motor. If you can see that print right there that says GoPro 5, 6, or 7, and I'll show you that in just a minute too. And this is the version 2, so it's got the twin tail design. It's got the V-tail and the inverted T-tail in case you want to use that. And then here's they call this a decomposition diagram showing you the exploded view of the plane. And there is a little bit of work done. They did the hard points and the equipment mounting points. Those are all in there. But I didn't get any electronics in this one. No electronics. There's an example of the two different tails, and they give you some technical data about the servos. This calls for 9-gram servos and 30 to 40 amp ESCs and two 2207 to 2306 motors with 6 or 7 or 8-inch props, I believe, and 3 to 4 cells. So this is a very much an open, this is an open format design for how you want to fly it. And I think this is definitely a Sunny Sky V3 kind of plane for me, I think. So I'm kind of glad. I'm actually okay this time not getting any computer equipment because that gives me an opportunity to kind of customize this one and design it the way I want. A few more breakout diagrams showing the different arrangements for the hard mounting plates, the Esc covers, the VTX camera. We'll cover all of that. They even look at the antenna. You guys see the antenna? It's very rare that you see an airframe with molded in Immortal V2 antenna design right in the molding itself. So I give them props for that. And if you guys watched my mini Talon video, I made a plastic 3D printed Immortal V2 antenna mount that looks shockingly like that. So kind of cool. And then they also have provisions in the tail for the video antenna. So they provide some separation back there. And they give you some installation boards and a couple rings to mount things nice and neat in the back. So we'll cover some of that as we get through this plane in just a minute. And then one last page to show you. I want to walk through this locking arrangement they have on the wings. I've never seen anything like it before. And I'll show you the ESC bays and the power distribution board. We'll cover all of that. So overall, I say the instructions are pretty good. They do say straight up front in the book that some mechanical building skills are required, so they're not explicit. They give you critical data like the weights and the center of gravity and the throws, but they tell you right here it requires some basic mechanical ability right there on the top paragraph. And yeah, I get that. Not wrong. And that's the way it is, honestly, with most FPV planes. They kind of give you the framework to build from, and then you have to put some mechanical ability behind it. So just a couple quick technical details. This is a 1200 millimeter wingspan, 833 millimeters on the length, 480 grams, and it's got a flying weight of 1200 grams, it says. 1200 gram flying weight. And they call for, I think I said 9-gram servos. They say 4 pieces, so. All right, that's it for the book. I wanted to cover that first. And then the other thing I want to cover, just to get it out of the way, is a Decal Sheets. I'm kind of going in reverse order if you guys watch my first look videos, but it's because I want to spend some time on the airframe and I don't want to miss these little details. So here's the Dragon number 2 or Dragon 2 decal sheet, and then some decals for the vertical stabilizers and the wing. It all looks good when it's all put together. And then here's a TRC logo if you want to use that. All right, now let's get into the serious business, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I want you guys to see this. So give me just a second and let me zoom in. And while I do that, I also want to look through the chat real quick and say hello to everybody now that we've all had time to clock in. So I'm going to just go up to the top. Martin, how you doing? Richard Webb, have notice of live with you and Bardwell. Well, I'm glad you made it to mine, Richard. Thank you for joining. Sean, glad to see you. Angry Pepper, ditto. Glad you chose this one as your live stream. John, gonna hit 10K at midnight by this pace. Yeah, we're only 50 off right now, 50 away at the moment. So if you're new and watching and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Robert is doing the like whip, so I appreciate that. Robert's got a bead on the subscription count, so 50 away. That's right. Props off. I got my popcorn and beverage. Hello, everyone, and fellow FPV rippers. Very good. William Cox, hello. How are you? Let's see. Claude Ladau, let's go. Yep, we're going. Philip, how you doing? Glad you can make it. B. Stern, good to see you, as usual. Andy Hamid, hello. Thanks for joining us all the way from Jakarta. Very cool. All right. I think I got everybody. Hello, Ola. Hey, David. How you doing? David Knutz. Good to see you. The antenna holder, John. Yeah, there's an antenna holder in there for sure. Okay, let's get back to the first look. So this is why I did in the opening thumbnail, why I did the old, the routine with the hand on the head. Like, what did I get myself into? You guys know if you watch my videos, one of the surefire ways I tell you about the amount of time a build is going to take you is directly proportional to the amount of hardware. So let's go through the hardware. I'm not even going to try and explain it all. I'll explain the key pieces. That's a power distribution board. And by the way, notice that they used a LC filter. This is a filtering power distribution board, which is very good. That'll help keep the video signal clean on the power system that you use. So there's the power distribution board and a nice little extension pigtail for an XT60. So very nicely done on there. I'm just going to set that aside. Now I want to show you the rest of the hardware, and I'm just going to rebag this because I don't want to lose any of it. But boy, I'll tell you what. Okay, here's why I say serious business. You can always tell, in my opinion, when they've made some extra effort in choosing their equipment and when they intend for it to be serious when they use ball links. I always like to see ball links on a model because it helps avoid binding. And they've got Z-bends on the other side. So this is going to be a very secure and very flexible control rod arrangement. That's one of the best, I think, one of the best arrangements you can get because you don't worry about a little plastic pin coming loose on one end, right? You don't worry about that like you have with those clevises. So that's one. There's a bag of composite hardware, and all I can tell you is that inside there's a little disc for the VTX antenna mount. So I'll show you where that mounts later. There are some radial mounts for your motors and then some Esc covers. And these also act as joiners to keep the wings on the fuselage. All right. So that's what those Esc covers are for. And notice they're ventilated. So again, this is why I say serious business. So thinking through the problem, they included ventilation in the Esc covers, and this is a composite material. And they've got the radial mounts and the antenna mounts already ready for you to go. So very thoughtful, very thoughtful. And then as far as the rest of the hardware goes, there's one bag of screws, count them. There's another bag of screws. Here's another bag, and I don't even know what all that stuff is for. I mean, I hope they're not. This is what I mean about serious, man. Look at all those things. You have a big bag, you're going to be busy for a while. And then a GPS cover, which is very nice touch. That goes right on the top. And then there's a little L bracket for the power distribution board. And then finally, you've got the control horns. And they're not the screw-on type, but these are probably my second favorite style. I like the screw-on type the best, but barring a screw-on type, notice that this is still a sandwich type. So it's got the blade that goes up and the capture mechanism on the top. So they're good. They're good. I like the screw-on type better, but those are good. And then on the bottom, there's a skid plate for the plane. So I was using that to kind of hold all the hardware and keep that tidy. And then finally, there's a little Velcro strap, and I'm not exactly sure where that board goes yet. I'll figure it out during the build. It might have something to do with the VTX. I'm not sure. We'll find out, though. We'll find out. Okay, now let's get to the hardware. I know that's what everybody wants to see is the fuselage and the hardware. So I've got this here. I'm going to back out, and I've got this set up for a pretty good zoom, so I'm going to back this thing way out tonight. There we go. There's a zoom. That's zoomed all the way out. So the fuselage, and I'll tell you, this one kind of took me by surprise. I know it's 1200 millimeters, but I was still a little surprised at the size of it. So up front, you can see that it's got two trays. It's got cage supports for the, or captured supports for the spars, one right there. And then, I don't know if I'll get it on film, but well, let's see. Oh, there it is. You can see it right in there. That little hole, that's the back one for the back spars. And then on the side, there's two plywood plates to capture the tail. So if you want to interchange the tail, you can do that. But here's what's really cool about this arrangement is, you know how, because it's so open, look at the top is completely open and the rear is completely open. That makes it so nice to put this together for putting your assembly, your computer, your VTX, your camera, all that stuff that you've got to wire. Man, that really makes it nice and easy. And then the GPS, I mentioned that earlier, it's got a GPS cover right there on the top, and the hole's already there for the GPS lead to go down and connect to your flight computer. Now, one thing I will tell you is that they say the power distribution board in the directions goes here somewhere. And I played around with it for a little while. I couldn't figure it out. To me, this looks like it's ripe for a 3D printed part because there's a wood slot right there and there's one right there. And I think a 3D tray will be perfect for that spot right there to carry that power distribution board. But anyway, that's it. A lot of hard points on this plane. And again, it's why I said it's serious business, because they do have quite a few hard points. This is an anchor. Remember the Esc covers that I showed you, the composite covers? This is one of the anchor points. So while this bears no vertical load, it doesn't bear any of the load, it's not load bearing. What this does is it keeps that torsional pressure on the wing to keep it joined to the fuselage. That's one of the points where that happens. So we'll cover that in a moment, but I just wanted you guys to get a look at the bottom of it so you had an understanding of what was going on there. So let me see something here on the screen that I'm not happy about, and that's the size of this chat window, and I never seem to get along. Give me just a moment. I want to make one little adjustment to this chat window. I'm going to make one little adjustment. There we go. I hope that's a little better. It looked like the chat was getting cut off. So anyway, there you go. There's the fuselage. Now, here's something that I was unable to figure out prior to the video, and that's these screw mounting on top. I looked on the Banggood page, and on the pictures they had, they didn't even have these in there. So I don't know what those are for yet. It's quite possible that could be for screwing on a mounting platform. I'm really not sure. I'm not sure. So not sure what that's for. And then there is some breathing up front, and there is a release on the back for the canopy. It's already in place. And this is held on with magnets, so you can see the magnets are already included. And there's also, this is one of the areas on the mini Talon that got some grief, was they didn't have any rigidity along this long canopy. So you can see they've already got spars running the length of the canopy to provide rigidity. So when you pop this on and off, you're not deforming the foam. So there we go. That's on there nice and tight. And this is EPP foam, by the way. This is not the PNP version. This is the kit version. I didn't get any electronics with this at all other than the power distribution board. That's all I got. That's all I got with this one. Okay, next thing I wanted to show you real quick before I move on was the GoPro. So this is a GoPro Hero 5 Black, and I will tell you that there's some notches. I haven't pulled it apart, but there are some notches up here. I'm not sure if that's intended to come out or not. I really don't want to try and rip it apart on camera. I don't know. No, it seems like that's glued in, but I'll tell you one thing, getting this in and out, it's not super easy, but it's secure once it's in there. So I think the way you want to operate this is by powering it on first, and then you stuff it in there, and you kind of just guide it into the front, and you get that lens aligned with that opening, and then you can operate the GoPro from your phone. So there you go. There's a GoPro Hero 5 stuffed in the front, and then of course this is for your FPV camera. So you can get both cameras up front and fly off of one and record off the other. So that's what that looks like. Yeah, a lot of room inside this canopy for sure. I mean, my entire hand can fit in there. The real trick, of course, is arranging the electronics and keeping that nice and neat. So, but yep, GoPro fits in there pretty easily. No worries. Yeah, Martin says, find out, pull. I think it's glued. I really do think it's glued. I don't really want to pull on it. So I'm gonna leave it there. Notice that there's a lot of tape on here too. I think that's because when they put it together, this is one of the complaints we've had with planes that get shipped in containers overseas, is they glue the seam together and then they ship the plane, and by the time it spends the Pacific journey in the containers going across the ocean, that glue can soften and the fuselage can come apart. I actually think it's very cool they left the tape on here, because that means throughout the whole journey, this fuselage stayed tight. It stayed where it was supposed to. It stayed put. So I kind of have to give them props for that. I think that's actually good thinking. And it's no skin off our nose to peel that tape off, right? It just comes off instantaneously, no problem. So I think that was actually a good call on their part. All right, next I want to show you the motor mounts in the wing, what I call the wing saddle. And I've got the spar. I'll show you the spar treatment in just a minute, but let me set this aside. And here's a look at the wing saddle. So you remember I've mentioned that the Esc cover forms the join, okay? So remember, it doesn't bear the weight, but you can see right here that this is the compartment for the ESC. So plenty of room for a 30 amp or 40 amp ESC, no problems there. And then that cover is the thing that kind of pulls this together and holds that on the plane. Of course, you've got the spar to bear the load, no worries there, but this is the thing that provides that lateral stability or compression to keep the shoulder on the plane. That's what that's for. You might want to glue. This might be one that might be worth gluing. I also want to spend a little time talking about this connection mechanism because I've never seen anything like this before either. Also notice the hard points. So there's another hard point for the wing, hard point for the ESC mount. The motor mounts are already on, so all you have to do is connect your radial that they gave you in the hardware kit, and then that'll screw in right into these 4 holes, and then your wires go in the bottom. So they've done, some of the trivial work for you is taken care of. So that's good. But I want to show you this locking mechanism because it's very unusual. I've already got the other wing locked, so I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. But, okay, so what I'm going to try and do is get the camera to focus. And if you look inside there, right there, you can see that that collar is threaded. So the shaft goes in the shoulder for the longitudinal load-bearing aspect, or the lateral load-bearing aspect. And then that screw, that little nut on the shoulder, is used to grab onto that screw. And then they've got pinouts for your servos that go into the wing. So these are your aileron servos. And while we're looking at the wing, notice it's got reinforcement right along that critical point where the control horn goes. And again, with the tape, you see how they've taped everything together? I like that. I think that's very smart. Good call on their part. As far as the wing, the leading edge of the wing goes, let's take a look at that real quick. We'll see how straight that is. Very straight. I don't see any concern there at all. Everything looks nice and straight. And on the back, let's see if I can get that lined up for you guys. No warpage. I mean, it's straight. It's as straight as you can ask for it to be. Okay, so as far as the connection goes, when you put these two together, you get the spar to go all the way in. And when you get it to seat, one thing I'll tell you that I've already learned working on the other wing is when you tighten this down, you have to make sure that you have both the front and the rear both riding down that thread equally. You don't let it get cockeyed one way. You don't want to do that. That's bad. That's bad. You have to work it all the way down. So just hold one part against your body and hold the other part against your body, and then use your hands to spin it on there however you can. So anyway, that's the locking mechanism. You just screw that down, and that affixes the outer wing to the wing shoulder or the motor pod. All right, so that's the first wing. That's the port wing. I'll show you the starboard wing. I've already got the starboard wing assembled, and I've got the spar in it because I want to show you how that works inside the plane. But you can see that when you get that this knurled nut screwed down nice and tight, it pulls that outer wing onto the shoulder very tightly. I have no worries that the plane will come apart before that comes apart. I mean, that is absolutely solid. That's not going anywhere. And then there's a look at the bottom. So you do have the ability to disassemble the wing if you want to. And because they're using those quick connect pins inside, you can break it down if you need to. So this is actually a plane that could be, I don't want to say backpackable, but it can be broken down a little bit. Let's leave it at that. There's another set of screws here, and I'm just not sure what these are for yet. I haven't found a reason for their existence in the instructions yet or in pictures that I've seen online. So I'll keep hunting for that. I'll try and understand what those are for eventually. But they're plastic captured hex nuts. So I'm not exactly sure what they're there for. If you guys find out, make sure you come back and leave a comment. Hey, and by the way, if you guys have good motor recommendations for this plane, let me know. 1,200 grams is the all-up flying weight max. So if you have an idea on motor, let me hear what you think. I know how to pick a motor. You guys know that, but what the heck? I'd like to hear what you guys think about motor choices as well. So anyway, I've got the front spar and the back spar in. I'll show you how this goes into the airframe. So the spar goes right through the center cavity and through those wood capture trays. You just have to make sure they're both lined up. And then make sure on the back, you got the same issue. You have the back spar also has to go through one of those wood capture trays. And there you go. When that's on there and pushed in really, nice and tight, and you get the other wing on, then here, maybe this will kind of finalize that picture that I tried to explain about the Esc Covers. You see the seam right here? The only thing keeping this wing shoulder connected to the fuselage is this little cover right here, and that's that composite cover that gets screwed on right there. So that composite cover can come off, and then the wing can easily slide off. The wing shoulder and the exterior or outer wing portion or segment can easily pop off there. So that's it. That's the wing. And this is what I mean about big, man. This is what, again, I know what 1200 millimeters is. Let's see if I can zoom this out any further. Nope, that's as far out as I can zoom it. So that should give you a pretty, here, I brought this in just to give you guys a reference. I'm just kidding. I brought this in so Robert couldn't have a live stream without seeing his favorite radio. That's why I brought it in. We all know that's why I brought it. No, I'm just kidding. But that gives you an idea for perspective, how far out I've got this camera right now. I've got it pretty far out. So 1, 2, about 3 radio widths just for one wing half alone. So there you go, Robert. Get a good look, buddy. Just want you to have pleasant dreams. All right, there you go. There's Precious for you. Okay, so that's a fuselage and the wing. The next thing I want to show you is the tailpiece. Or the empennage. Now they call this an inverted T. Now I'm going to show you the first unfortunate thing. Let me set the fuselage aside there. There we go. So the first unfortunate thing I found in the plane, I took it out of the box this way, and that's this. So that was like that out of the box. I think what I'll do to fix that, of course, is glue it, but I'll take some of my fiberglass strips and I'll just cut a slot in here, drop a strip in, and epoxy it in, and I'll do the same thing on the bottom. And to make sure I have the weights the same, I'll do the same operation on this side because I do want to use the T-tail. And then the reason they call it an inverted T-tail is because this actually goes on the bottom. So there's the bottom, the elevator, and then the top piece goes in, but they've got some extra superfluous foam there that I haven't cut off yet, so I can't fit it, but that'll just give you an idea of how things go together. So there's the T-tail, there's one control surface or one servo, and then here's the other. And then notice that there are servo openings on both sides. So I'm not sure if they intend for the aileron to get 2 servos or not, or if they're just leaving it to your devices. I'm not sure yet. Not a bad idea, I think, on a plane that you might design to go all the way to the tree line to 399.9 feet. Not a bad idea, perhaps, to put a second elevator servo on there. That wouldn't be terrible. Wouldn't be the worst thing you ever did. So anyway, one little repair to do there. Also notice the reinforcement rod on the elevator to keep things nice and straight there, and then 2 holes for the control horns. If you decide to use this side or this side, you can have a matching control horn already in place. And then you can also see in the vertical or the horizontal stabilizer, it's got reinforcement inside. So everything's good here except that. That's unfortunate, and it did come out of the box that way. It was kind of sad to see that, but a little bit of glue, a little bit of fiberglass, I'll have that patched right up. And when it comes to FPV planes, they're kind of workhorses anyway. All right, next up is the V-tail arrangement, and same deal. They've got this little extra superfluous material that I didn't cut off, but if you want to use it in a V-tail configuration, you can. The part just simply lays in there just like a mini Talon. Same thing as a mini Talon or a nano Talon, same concept. And then this one lays in here, and then the servos themselves, they mount on the bottom portion of the rudder vane, I guess you'd call it. And then same deal on this side, they've got the control rods or the reinforcement rods with the control horns, and then the reinforced servo mounting trays are all there. One other thing that I didn't cover on the other one is there is an equipment tray in the back. So this is just a wood spar that's going to come out, that pops out of there, and that gives you access into the back to mount your VTX. And then remember I mentioned that little disc for the VTX antenna, that pops up right here. So the idea is you run a remote antenna, you bring it up right here, and you use that ring to screw things in place, right? The antenna will screw on. screw on top of that ring, and then your mounting plate goes from the bottom up through that ring. And then once you got that screwed down, you'd simply take that composite plate and screw it right into this mounting plate, and there you go. VTX antennas in place. This is what I mean about a serious plane. They were thinking about the problem. And then, as I mentioned earlier, they've got the mounting location for the T antenna, and they've got ventilation all over the place. So ventilation here, there's a door cover. In fact, the door covers are right here. I didn't show you that on the other tail, but they both come with door covers, and I've got that backwards. So just like that, they both come with door covers, and then ventilation all over the place. Now, let me show you how this fits on the aircraft, on the fuselage real quick. I don't know personally if I would be too into the idea of switching them around. I think, you know, the idea for me would pick one and stick with it. But to put these on, all you have to do is get the fuselage and just give these two little wood tabs on the side just a little squeeze, just a little bit. And then once you get them started, that slides right in there. And then on the side, that wing's going to get me. And then on the side right here, you've got a couple little screws that you just screw in, and that'll hold your tail in place for you. So 2 on each side, 4 screws holding that tail section on all together. Let me pop this wing off. There we go. That makes it a little easier to demonstrate. So there you go. There's the 2 screws right there, one there, one there, and then 2 more on this side. So again, when you think about the ease of use on this plane for FPV arrangements, this is really nice, man, because you can put your VTX there, your antenna there, and all you need is one little connector bringing your camera or your VTX up front to your flight computer. Or maybe you put your flight computer back there. I guess you could. I don't think I would do that, but I guess you could if you wanted to. I guess depending on weight. So there you go. There's the first look at the Dragon Reptile, or sorry, the Reptile Dragon 2. And this is the twin tail design. I'll be setting mine up as a T-tail only because I think they tend to be a little bit more efficient. And the reason for that is because when you're in a turn, if you're in a descending turn and the plane's going down and descending like this and this tail's up in the air, you kind of lose a little bit of effectiveness. You only have 1/2 of your surface acting like an elevator and 1/2 acting like a rudder. So I kind of like the idea of the full elevator rudder combo to begin with. So that's why I'll probably stick with that combination. Okay, I've been going on for a little while. I'm going to go back and check and see what's going on in terms of comments. And if you guys have any questions or anything you'd like to see about the plane before I wrap up, make sure you drop them in comments and I'll take a look. All right, so hit that like button. It helps the channel. Thanks, Robert. The antenna holder, John, I think that's where I left it. Call your friends and tell them to turn it on. Okay, subscribe and hit the bell. Wow, that's nice. Definitely a fan of the ball link. Yeah, I do like the ball links too. That's a good arrangement. I'm a big fan of the ball links. I think that comes from my racing days. When I used to race off-road electric, we used ball links on everything. So if you're going to race that way, I kind of view that as the high end of connectivity for servos to surface. Propsoft says, John, where are you? I'm in Florida. B Stern, like looking into the rear of a C-130. Yeah, man, I guess. Yeah, with this tail off and you look in the back. Yeah, definitely, man. It's a big cavernous opening. I think for build purposes, it'll be really nice to have that. Really nice to have that. It does look like the back of the C-130. Yep, I'm guessing this is the PNP version. Nope, this is kit version. They do have a plug and play if you want it, but this is the kit version. Robert, I like the support. Yeah, I think they've got the support in all the right spots. So I think the only thing that I saw missing from the design is probably. I wouldn't mind having a support brace right in here for that distribution board. I think that's the only thing that I saw missing. They show it right here in the instructions, and I'm not sure if their intention is to have it on the canopy or underneath the canopy. It's just unclear. It doesn't say, but that's where your mechanical abilities come into play, right? So you have to do that. It does look well engineered. Yeah, I agree. Butch, Butch Bennett says it looks well engineered, and I'd say yeah. It looks very smooth. I mean, when you initially look at it, it looks kind of chunky and blocky, but when you see it start coming together and the wings get put in place and everything gets buttoned up, I do agree that it looks like it's well engineered. And the fact that this is EPP foam, I'm really kind of happy that they've gone to this material because it is durable. It is more durable than EPO in the sense that it doesn't explode on contact. It'll rip and tear, but it won't blow up. And I think that's a big advantage over EPO. And now that they've kind of figured out how to get it into a smooth finish in a multitude of form factors, it really kind of makes it nice. Yeah, you can fix it with hot glue. I like welder's glue for EPP though. You can fix it with hot glue, but I think I like welder's glue or contact cement instead, personally. Nothing wrong with using a little hot glue to hold it while your contact cement dries, but hot glue will work. And some EPP will work with CA glue, and some I found it doesn't stick too well. Martin being the Martin's the guy who stands at the bottom of the building and says, "Jump, you sissy." He wants me to pull on that camera opening to see if that actually comes out. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I'm not going to do that. But yeah, the camera fits in there just fine. Not going to be a lot of fun to operate it in there though. All right. I've never had a plane. Sorry, probably silly question. I have many cars, trucks, helis, and now a truckload of drones. Well, you need to get a plane, props off. You're missing out, man. I love flying planes. These things they're a blast. Oh, and by the way, that's one thing I didn't really talk about in this session. Because it's a twin motor tractor style, it makes it a lot easier to launch. You don't have the issues if you have a pusher. You don't have to worry about the thrust line issues where the motor. Let me see if I can get the angle right on the camera. Where the motor might be angled down, you have to angle it toward the CG, or if you don't, you have thrust line issues where the plane will climb or descend depending on how you have that thrust line set up. So because this is a tractor design, you don't have that problem. And also because it's a tractor design, you're not concerned about props being in your footage. So that's a really nice feature. That's one of the reasons twin motor planes tend to be popular for FPV. So I think this will be a very interesting form factor for flying FPV. And given that it's a twin, I might run reverse motors and have counter-rotating props just to avoid things like torque issues on takeoff or torque issues in flight while flying. I'll probably do something like that. And I've done some mixes with differential. That might be fun to do too. Robert says a 2216 750 to 950 kV motor. Well, Robert, you know where to find me. If you got any ideas, give me a link. Props off, it's not a stupid question, mate. You need to compensate anyway to get the right center of gravity. Was there a question that I missed? Props off, never had a plane. I didn't see a question. Probably silly question. I must have missed it. If I don't have a GoPro, do I need to add weight for the nose offset? Oh, there's the question. Probably. Yeah, probably. A lot of times when they do that, they have you add weight. However, if you look at the size of this battery compartment, there's probably plenty of space to take your battery. And instead of having your battery sit like right, do I have a battery handy? Yeah, I do. This is not the right size battery, just to give you an idea. But if that's a normal place for your battery with a GoPro and you don't have a GoPro in, all you wind up doing is taking your battery and moving it up like this. Of course, I have the GoPro in, so I can't. Here, let me just pull it out. I don't like pushing that hard on my lens to get that camera out, by the way. I'll just tell you that right now. So there you go. So that's what you'd wind up doing if the balance is designed for a GoPro. And a lot of times if they have that cut out for the GoPro, it's designed to fly that way. So if you're not going to use a GoPro, then the other option is to take your battery and move it all the way up just like that. And that will probably get it balanced okay. So sorry I missed that question, but yeah, the battery going forward probably take care of it. And, the other option too is always go with a bigger battery. So Angry Pepper says, may not be enough. So when that happens, Angry Pepper, what I do, bigger battery. So instead of a 4-cell 3300, I'll put in a 4-cell 5000, or 4-cell, 2 4-cell 5000s or something crazy like that. Drop tanks. Yeah, Beast Turn. That's right, man. Drop tanks, all kinds of stuff. This thing will hold it, man. I have a feeling it's going to have strong lift characteristics. No doubt about that. Let's see. Robert, I'm just not even going to touch the dragon drag queen thing. I don't know. I'm just leaving that alone. Let's see. Just ordered the exact same radio. Pull it. Martin wants me to pull that plug off. No, I ain't going to do it. Ain't going to happen. Yeah, I'm not sure why 2 servos for the elevator. I don't know. I haven't resolved that yet. Haven't had the time to sort it out. It's, again, not a terrible idea to have them. I guess for safety, you know, if you haven't, I've had elevator, I've actually had servo strip. I've had rudder servo strip. So I guess maybe a second elevator servo wouldn't be a terrible idea. Yeah, I'm looking forward to my TX. Never had an Open TX before. Should be interesting. Angry Pepper, man. Yeah, you won't. Open TX is awesome. It's a journey though, so don't let it get you down. Just get into it and take a bite at a time. Oh, let's see. Let's see. I found this channel. Angry Pepper says he found this channel yesterday, as a matter of fact. Well, good. I'm glad you found it. Be curious to know why it took so long. I've been out there for a lot of years. I'd like to know what YouTube does to advertise channels, but anyway, in any case, I'm glad you found it. Let's see. T-tail, more practical. Yeah, I think it's more practical, more efficient in flight, Robert. I agree. Are ball link pliers worthwhile? They are if... I only ever use ball link pliers if I was replacing the caps. So if you're not really doing that, I've never really had a problem just squeezing them on with my hands, you know? So I don't know. If it's just a one-time deal, I don't worry about squeezing a ball into a capture with my hands. But if you have a stud, like a ball stud, and a cap that goes over the top, then it's a good idea to have the pliers, because if you have to constantly take them on and off, you're going to eventually wind up, what you end up doing is you grab the shaft and then you pry the cap off, and that's either going to bend the shaft or stretch the cap. So in those cases, I would use ball link pliers, but if you're just talking about the ball inside the round capture, I just squeeze those on with my hand. I don't worry about pliers. You don't need to do that. Andy would love to hear the pros and cons of V-tail. I really don't. For me, I think the T-tail is more efficient. Like I said earlier, you know, if you have a V-tail and you got to imagine, okay, you have a V-tail, and when you are turning the plane and you go into a bank, when you want to control things like your pitch, you only have 1/2 of the surface doing the work. Versus an elevator that's flat, when you make that turn, you still have the entire surface making that change. So I just, to me, I always felt that T-tails were more efficient in flight. V-tails, I really don't know why. I think that was just the design thing by like Beechcraft or something. I don't know where V-tails came from or why, what the alleged advantage is, but I can tell you from personal flight experience, I like flying T-tails better. That's the truth. I can't believe they recommend 3S to 4S, 3000 to 5300. Yeah, I mean, that's a big battery bay. You can definitely, Aaron, you can definitely fit some battery in there. There's no question. If you guys want, hold on one second. I'll get a 5-cell 4000. 1 second. Yeah, back when Turnigy used to sell these 4-cell 5200s. I love these things. Look at that. That's a 4-cell 5200 right there. So that's not a stretch. Not a stretch. All right. Stuck in Trees. That's a great nickname. You know, Stuck in Trees says, I built a whole fleet of flight test DIY planes, cheap and easy to build if interested in building planes. Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of us got our starts with flight test, man. I did. I can tell you that. Flight test was my first plane, my first transition plane off of a slow stick. That was my first transition plane. Did I miss the price? You're still going to say what the price? Oh, price-wise, yeah, this is not cheap. The kit version is $173 with $36 shipping from China, so not cheap. And then the PMP version, if you want that, that'll come with the motors and the ESCs and the servos. That's $240. So you're another $40 in for the motor and ESCs. That's not necessarily a bad deal. I don't know what that's the one disadvantage of not getting the motor and the ESCs with the Banggood delivery is I don't know what the quality of the equipment is. But you know, $40 for a pair of motors, pair of ESCs, and 4 servos. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. All right. I appreciate everyone's input. I'm not sure if a plane is in my future soon or later. Well, props off. We're all here if you decide to fly fixed wing, brother. We'll be here for you. Split elevator. Yeah, Richard, that's an option too. You know, you can, that actually might be fun to do an elevator aileron mix. So put in a little bit of a touch of elevator with the aileron. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to think about how that would work. It might be inversed. You might have to inverse that. I don't know. Might be something to try. But yeah, split elevator for sure. You can run without any modifications. You can easily run 2 different elevator servos, no problem. All right, I think I found the channel because the TX16 info came up. This crossed my freestyle drone hobby in your area of the hobby. Well, good, good. Andy, you're welcome. Angry Pepper, thumbs up. Good. Stuck in Trees, thumbs up. Props off. Yeah, I really enjoy hanging out with Josh at Flight Test. Great guy and lovely wife. Great people. Yeah, I'd like to meet Josh someday. I've got a lot of respect for those guys. I love what they've done for radio control, and I wish them nothing but success. So I hope they're completely successful and make a truckload of money. Taylor Rons, says Robert. All right, guys. Well, that's it on the first look. I think I've gone through all the comments and questions. I don't see anything new in there. So I hope you enjoyed the first look video on the Reptile Dragon 2. I have some parts to order. I wasn't sure if she sent me the FPV or PMP version or not, so I didn't order anything. This was right before the Chinese New Year started, so I didn't order anything because I wasn't sure what she sent me. Now that I know what I've got, I know what I need to get. I'll be looking for motors, computer, ESC, camera, that kind of stuff. So I'll be working on that next. And I've got that in line with the Strix Goblin too. So the Strix Goblin is close to being done. I can probably get this one done at the same time and maybe fly 3 of them. The Wing, the Goblin, and the Dragon all at the same time. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you did and you're not subscribed, you got to hit the subscribe button. Do you guys know 61% of the people who watch my videos don't subscribe? That means that out of all you awesome people that are always joining me on these live sessions and watching all the material I put out, you only represent 30% of the overall viewership. So if you're out there watching, please hit that subscribe button. It matters. You got to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and keep an eye on the channel as we get close to 10K. We're almost there. Should be another day or two, and we'll be doing a pretty neat giveaway. I'm all done with the giveaway announcement videos. That concluded today, so that'll be coming up probably next. Maybe one more video in the middle. So thanks, William. Glad you enjoyed the video. I'll be watching for this one. Yeah, this will be a neat flight. I think this will be a good flying plane. I think this one gets rid of a lot of tendencies that are out there on a lot of the other FPV planes that we deal with. And I have a feeling this one will be a pretty squared away flying plane. Congrats on your new freight ship, John. Thanks for the walkthrough. Take care. Yeah, you're welcome, Martin. Glad to help. Props off. I liked it. Looks like the likes and viewer count is above par. Nice work. Yep, very good, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking time on your, what is it, Monday? Yeah, Monday night to join me for this first look video. That's all I've got for tonight. Take it easy.